Eritrea won its freedom decades ago, but under Isaias Afwerki, independence has meant decades of conflict. Today, the horn titters again, and Eritrea could become a battleground. Hi, I'm Sina Zhao, and this is Analytica Today. Tensions between Eritrea and Ethiopia are steadily rising. Last week, Ethiopia's ruling party accused Eritrea of actively stoking internal conflict, a claim that prompted Asmara to strike back directly. Eritrea's foreign ministry hit back, accusing the party of reckless pronouncements and declaring it would secure its ports legally if possible and militarily if necessary. It sounds like a war of words, but it may be more than that. Eritrea has spent the almost 3 decades under President Isaias Afwerki's tight rule. Independence was earned, but freedom never came, and conflict never stopped. Today, we'll explore Eritrea's journey from liberation to isolation, and why its future, for better or for worse, still depends on one man. Eritrea's independence was born out of one of the longest armed struggles in modern African history. 30 years of guerrilla warfare against Ethiopia. When victory came in 1993, Eritreans were full of hope. Leading them was Isaias Afwerki, a battle-hardened commander who had fought since the late 1960s. To his supporters, he was and still is a man of unshakable independence, rejecting foreign interference and resisting what he calls neo-colonialism from the West. But the promise of freedom never materialized. Eritrea postponed elections indefinitely, shut down independent media, and introduced a system of mandatory national service that often became indefinite military conscription. For many Eritreans, the fight for liberation simply turned into another kind of struggle, this time under their own flag. Since independence, Eritrea has barely gone 5 years without being in conflict. A brutal border war with Ethiopia erupted in 1998 and lasted till 2000. Costing tens of thousands of lives. Then came clashes with Djibouti, tensions with Sudan, and even involvement in the war in Yemen. When Ethiopia's Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed signed a peace deal with Isaias in 2018, the world celebrated. The two leaders even shared the Nobel Peace Prize, Abiy receiving it officially in 2019. But the peace didn't last. In 2020, Eritrean troops entered Ethiopia's Tigray region to fight alongside Ethiopian forces against the Tigray People's Liberation Front. The war was devastating, marked by massacres, famine, and displacement. And now, less than 5 years later, the two governments that fought side by side are trading accusations and threats. Eritrea's strategic location makes every move it makes a regional issue. It sits on the Red Sea, one of the busiest maritime routes in the world, linking the Suez Canal to the Gulf of Aden. Port access has become a flashpoint. Ethiopia, landlocked since Eritrea's independence, has been openly seeking a Red Sea port deal, notably in Somaliland. Eritrea's blunt warning, quote-unquote, militarily, if necessary, shows how high the stakes are. But this is not just about Eritrea and Ethiopia. Regional alignments are shifting. UAE backs Ethiopia economically and has deep interests in Somaliland's ports. Somalia's federal government rejects Somaliland's independence bid and sees Ethiopia's involvement there as a direct threat. Egypt views Eritrea and Somalia as a part of its strategic alliance in the Nile water dispute with Ethiopia. Turkey has a major military presence in Somalia, training troops and investing in infrastructure, making it a rival to UAE-backed projects. The US, China, and half a dozen of other countries have military bases in Djibouti. These rivalries are open and fierce, shaping trade routes, security alliances, and political decisions across the Horn. Isaias's alliances are no secret. He's declared them openly, and Eritrea's future is inseparable from his decisions. For over half a century, first as a young rebel in the 1960s, then as the nation's only president, he's chosen the path the country walks. More often than not, the path has been through conflict, not diplomacy. Whether in the 1998 border war with Ethiopia, military involvement in Yemen, or the recent Tigray conflict, Isaias has consistently opted for confrontation over compromise. Supporters call it strength and independence. Critics see it as isolation and refusal to adapt. But this time, the stakes are higher. Nations are openly scrambling for control, from Europe to the Middle East of the Horn itself. Eritrea's location along one of the world's most strategic maritime highways makes it a serious prize. Eritrea's story has always been about resilience, But resilience alone isn't enough in a region where global powers compete over every inch of coastline. The question is whether Isaias' approach will keep Eritrea independent or leave it vulnerable in a fight it can't control. That is all for today. I'm Sina Exau, and this was Analytica Today. Like, subscribe, and join the conversation in the comments.